get to be any little thing that we want to be. No matter what comes our way, we'll be together, together.
Welcome to Homeschooling Down South. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kat. We're two Southern homeschooling mamas sharing real talk, resources, and inspiration for life and learning in the Southeast.
Each week, it's summer, y'all, and we're breaking the rules and shaking things up a little bit.
That's right. We're right here in your feed each week, but our summer season has a different flavor.
So whether you're listening on summer vacation or chilling by the pool, we are sharing homeschooling conversations to refresh and inspire.
Pull up a chair and join us as we keep celebrating the joy, freedom, and community of homeschooling down south, summer style.
Welcome back, y'all. Today, we are continuing our fun summer season by talking about celebrations. You know, we're big on celebrating the wins. I wish you could see Kat celebrating right now. We're big on celebrating the wins, and we talk about that a lot, but we've never actually talked about how to celebrate the wins. And as we edge closer to season 2, we also just kind of wanted to celebrate some podcast wins with you all on air. So today's all about celebrations.
The celebration. And can we start by talking about you love celebrating birthdays?
Love it.
And my birthday was a couple weeks ago. And you did something that I thought was so cool as a birthday celebration, but you could transfer it to any kind of celebration. So you had people all light their own candle for me. Instead of me having a birthday wish, they each spoke a wish for me on my birthday, spoke over me the wish that they had for the coming year. It was so sweet. It was so unexpected. I really had to hold it together. But I've been thinking about just that's a great birthday tradition that you could start in your home. But also there are other times that you could do that. You could do that at the beginning of the school year and make a cake and have people light candles for each other about their wishes for your homeschool for the year. It's a really sweet, special idea for everyone to share their wishes and come together in celebration of the person or the thing that you're celebrating. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, and I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. I saw it online. And I love to celebrate birthdays, and I love to go as big as the guest of honor is comfortable with. And a story for another day, but I found out that you are not keen on surprises.
I don't like surprises.
And so, I wanted to make sure, though, that you still felt that it was still super special and you still felt super celebrated. And so, yeah, the way we did it, and like for birthdays, is you light the candles on the cake or the cupcake or whatever you're using. And then each person takes their candle, lights it from the fire of the birthday candle, and then they share their wish for the birthday person, for the guest of honor. And then they put their candle in the cake, and then the birthday guest of honor gets to blow it out. So you could totally translate this. It would be really fun to do with like a homeschool co-op, and everybody get together for your back to school bash, and everybody gets to, so that you don't have like 12,000 people blowing their air on the cake that everybody's going to eat. Everybody could just hold their candle, and maybe the co-op leader or whoever, or maybe each parent could light their own kid's candle as the kid speaks their wish over the year, as the parent speaks their wish over the year. And yeah, it's just a really fun thing to get everybody in on the celebration. And it's very easy to do. Don't need a lot of supplies. It's a really good way to amp up any celebration.
And I like it because we think about celebrating things at the end, but I liked this because it was like a celebration of going into the year and hopes and prayers and dreams and wishes that some women in my life that love me have for me at the beginning, not, you did it cheering at the end of the race.
Yeah.
But I think you and I both feel like celebrations shouldn't just be saved for the end of the race, because there's things along the journey that need to be celebrated. And I loved this because it was celebrating the beginning of the year. Yeah, I think it was really cool. And I think it could definitely be translated to other environments and other occasions, and certainly within your homeschool. You could do it to start a new read aloud. You could be like, here's what I hope happens.
Or you have traditionally, in both the co-op class that you taught and our Wild and Free group, done a book party at the end.
Yeah.
Which you could, in theory, do a book party to kick off your season of reading and have it themed to get everybody excited about the book. And that could be a celebration to start your new book. But speaking of book parties, that is another way that we celebrate.
It's my favorite.
It's so fun. And
It's
you just
fun.
theme it. We did a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe themed party with our Wild and Free group. And I have a rolling rack, like a clothing rack, and we hung up all these coats. And you do have to be careful, we found out, because we had some aggressive entrances and the coat rack decided to topple. But
Our wardrobe into Narnia was not as stable
it
as the
was
wardrobes in England in the 1940s.
But it was cute, and we had Turkish Delight, and I had a little snowscape on the TV, and it was just really fun and a good way to just celebrate wrapping up our book.
And you did a really cute job of the food because they eat things like fish and potatoes, which I like fish and potatoes, but it just didn't sound like kid party food. And so
Sure.
you made homemade goldfish
I
crackers,
did.
and that was the fish. And you were like, "Can you get some potato chips for the potatoes?" And yeah, we just had all the themed food. We did do a craft, but we left it just very, if the kids want to do the craft, they can come in and do it. And if they don't want to, they don't have to. I read a picture book about Pauline Baines, who was the illustrator for all of the Narnia books, uncredited on the cover, but there's this beautiful new children's book about her life and how she became an illustrator and how she met C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien and how she became the illustrator of Narnia and Middle-earth. And it was a fun way to close out instead of trying to read something from the book, but reading something that was related and still had wonder as an element of it. And the kids dressed up.
Yeah, that was so fun.
They were precious. We had one little girl who was dressed up as a lion, and it was the cutest thing in the world. So, and I love book parties. So that was with our Wild and Free group, where there's just a lot of freedom in how we celebrate the book. And we're doing those again this year with our group. But when I've done it in more of a kind of traditional co-op setting, it's not as much dress up and decorations and costumes, but it is still a celebration with food. I think food is a key to most celebration.
Yep.
Last spring, I read The Rise and Fall of Mount Majestic, and I made a cake, and I tore the cake into pieces at home, and I built a mountain out of it. But we also do book parties just in our home. So every year we pick a book to start our homeschool year with, and we finish it sometime in October, and then we do a book party near Halloween so that we're dressing up and we make food. Last year we did Robin Hood, and we made caramel apple hand pies and had a
Cool.
Robin Hood party, and we feasted outside like merry men. I was Maid Marian, my husband was
I
Little
love it.
John, my son was Robin Hood. The year before that, we did the story of Ferdinand. So my son was a bull, my husband was a bullfighter. I was one of the ladies with the flowers in her hair. We ate Spanish tapas. We always watch the movie as part of that celebration. And it's just one of our favorite things in our homeschool is to celebrate finishing a book and loving the story by kind of living the story a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a blast. It's a great way to add celebration into your homeschool. What else? What other ways do we celebrate?
Well, I think it's important. We've talked a lot about the big, we celebrate the birthdays, we celebrate finishing the book. But I think it's also important to celebrate the little things as well. And you don't have to have these grand parties, but it can be something as simple as we have finished a workbook today. We've completed this book. I struggle because, like, I am a foodie and I love food and I want to celebrate with food, but I also don't want to create this environment where it's like, oh, if I do something good, I should eat, even if I'm not necessarily hungry. But I have a sticker bin where I collect stickers. My sweet Aunt Penny loves to send stickers. And of course, I just pick up stickers along the way. So maybe we get to go pick out a sticker, or maybe there's a fun activity that I've bought or we've been given that we just haven't gotten to dig into. Let's do that. Or if it's, I don't know why you're going to laugh. Earth Day. Let's just spend today learning about Earth Day and doing an Earth Day craft. I'm not super crafty, and so that part is a little hard for me, but that is one thing I love about a lot of these homeschool accounts of these people who are creating things is they'll often run freebies around more minor holidays. And that is a great place if you're like, I don't know how to do this myself, to go get those. And I just save them in a folder on my computer. And so when something comes up, I can do that. Or maybe y'all have just been working really hard in your homeschool and you're like, you know what? I'm just really proud of everybody's work ethic. We're going to go to the zoo today.
Yeah. I think it's a
and
great
just
way to celebrate, just like something different.
yeah, something different and just a anything to acknowledge a win, small or large, and I think that sets up our kids to look for the wins too,
Yeah,
you know? And I think that's really important because, as they go into adulthood and go into whatever workspace they're going into, we all know it can be easy to get bogged down and get stuck in the monotony of the day
yeah,
or, conflict with coworkers or whatever. And if they're already trained to look for the wins, it really just changes your outlook on things. So if
for
you
sure.
do these little things, and we will talk about these a little more shortly, but you've introduced me to these celebration sticks.
Yeah,
And I love this idea of just having them accessible in my home around our school table or whatever. And anytime something as minuscule as, my goodness, you got this answer right on the first try, you shake that celebration stick. Or something as big as you just got all the answers right on your workbook test. This
yeah,
is awesome.
yeah,
And so I love having that. If it's not a celebration stick, something tangible
yeah,
that indicates to both you and your children that you're celebrating. I
yeah.
think it's cool.
So make some noise, have some flash. So I found these years ago when we were planning our wedding, but I brought them back into my life this last New Year's. We had a handful of friends over for New Year's Eve during the day because everyone sort of wanted to be doing their own thing for New Year's Eve night. But so during the day, we had people come over and like, get ready for your own New Year's celebrations. And the kids made these celebration sticks. They have ribbons and bells, and they're just fun. They're easy to put together. And you can wave them around and they jingle and the ribbons fly all around and it just feels very celebratory. When you were talking about, going and doing something fun, I think also if you're like, that sounds great, but I can't just like pick up and go to the zoo or the museum every time my kids have a good week in homeschool. You know what my son loves more than anything is when I say, we've had a really good day. I'm going to come get on the trampoline with you. I'm
Mhm.
gonna go get in the water with you. I'm gonna play ball with you. Because we've worked really hard and we've gotten our things done, we can now play together. Don't ever forget that some of what our kids want is just joy and delight with us.
Right.
And that's a good thing too. Some other things I like to do, I like to print out if we go somewhere or do something, or even in our home, if I take a picture of my son with a craft he made that was really hard to do and he got it, or take a picture with him of him at the zoo or, wherever we've gone. I like to print those out. And sometimes I'll have him tell me his memories and I write them on the back of the picture because now the
That's cute.
picture and the story are like a celebration that go together. And the other thing we love to do is create memory jars. We just get big
Mhm.
mason jars. And if we've collected artifacts from somewhere, or even if it's artifacts from a season of your homeschool, and you put them all in the jar, and now you have this thing to kind of remember and celebrate that season. And we did talk about food being a big part of the celebration, but I also think it's fun when you can tie it
Yeah.
to something you
Theme it.
learned. So, yeah.
Mhm.
So, if you learned about some part of the world, a geography lesson, you make food from that place. Or if you learned about some time in history, make food from that time in history and connect the learning to the food and the celebration. And then that can make it really memorable and impactful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so lots of ways to celebrate in your homeschool.
Yeah.
But we also have lots to celebrate here on the podcast that we want to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like we have a lot to celebrate for the podcast. Chiefly right now, we're in a little bit of a time space continuum situation here because at the time of recording, we are looking ahead at Southeast Homeschool Expo. But when this comes out, we will be fresh off of our first time exhibiting and doing workshops at the Southeast Homeschool Expo.
At any expo, really.
Yeah, this is major,
Yeah.
and I just feel like that is something so worth celebrating
Yes.
because every time something happens with the podcast, I find myself thinking, "Is this how it happens?" Because I am a consumer of podcasts, and I often think, "Did they just one day decide they were gonna do merch? Did they just one day decide they were gonna do live shows or whatever?" So I often think, "No, no, 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 we're doing that thing that I said last year one day."
Yeah.
We are living in the one day.
But the one day has come much sooner than I think either of us thought it would.
Yeah.
And it's just been God opening doors and us
Yeah.
being willing to walk through them and God making connections and us leaning into them. And we've said it before, but in particular, women who have homeschooled their children and either are near the end of their journey or have graduated their kids, just pouring their hearts and their wisdom and more than anything, their encouragement into us to keep going and keep doing this. Because I think when we started, we said, if we do this for a year, it will have been a fun thing we did for a year. Well,
Yeah.
we've now done it for a year.
Yeah.
We're coming up on anniversaries. Last week, we just celebrated the anniversary of our first photo shoot. And with Southeast Homeschool Expo, we're celebrating when we announced the podcast.
Yep.
And at the beginning of September, we're coming up on a year of having aired episodes and being with y'all once a week. And so we're coming up on all of those anniversaries and we are celebrating them. But I think part of the celebration is also seeing what doors continue to be opened and
Yeah.
being just being diligent in saying yes and leaning into what is being placed before us and doing our best to steward it well.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah.
been celebrating that a lot.
Yeah, because it is wild. One, I feel like this year has gone by very quickly. But two, I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm really not. I'm an optimistic person and I'm a joyful person, but I'm also an anxious person. And so I think there's a part of me that's always waiting on everything to just fall apart. And so it's been really cool to just be like, okay, slow and steady wins the race. We're just going to do the next, not to quote Frozen, but the next right thing. We're going to do the next right thing.
Yeah.
And that the Lord has, like you said, just opened the doors and we've had, these milestones. We finished our episode 40. We finished our first regular season. That was something to celebrate. Then we're a ton of
Almost
the way through our summer season.
almost done with our summer season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've already recorded so many episodes for season 2. We have Southeast Homeschool in the book, or well, by the time you're hearing this, it'll
As
be
you're
in the books.
listening. Yes.
As you're listening. And then we have another expo in Dalton, Georgia on August 15th that we're going to be at. So I just feel like this next year is going to be full of just as many celebrations. And certainly by this time, when you're hearing this, we will have celebrated with so many people and we will have so many other things to celebrate. And I just am really, really excited about that and just how the podcast has grown, how we have grown as friends, as business partners, as podcast hosts. There's just a lot. I think about how big you celebrate a baby's first birthday. It's this huge milestone. And I kind of feel like the podcast is our baby and it's
Yeah.
coming up on its first birthday.
It's ready to do a smash cake.
Yeah. Don't tempt me with a good time.
I've never done a smash cake. Oh no, I wish you could see her face. The wheels are turning. Things will happen.
Not even with your kid?
I mean, we made a cake for him, but
Did he smash it?
it was messy, but I don't know that he smashed it. And it wasn't the traditional smash cakes because it was still very COVID-y when my son turned 1.
Okay, well, we need to figure out a way to remedy that. I'll add that to my list.
So, one of the things we're celebrating is that we, just like Kayla just said, how did they get to the point where they're selling merch? We are celebrating that we now have things, tangible things besides our words and our conversations. We have tangible things to offer you.
We do.
At Southeast Homeschool Expo, we were selling celebration stick kits. Yeah, if there's interest in those, we'd love to help you put that together. We now have stickers that are our podcast so that you can represent that you're a listener. And we are now offering guides to help you when you go places like we've talked about on the podcast, like a national park and they don't have learning resources, or a state park and the rangers aren't putting anything on that day, or a zoo or aquarium that doesn't have homeschool days that you could go to. We have created flexible companions that are designed to help you notice more, wonder often, and learn together. And you could use them in a variety of the cool nature spots and experiences that we've shared on the podcast and we're going to continue sharing. And it was just something that came about as we were going out to these places to experience them first for our homeschools, but also so that we could talk about them with you all here on the podcast. We started to see the holes, the gaps, where I really wish there was something I could bring along with me to this adventure, to this experience that would help. Not that it's not learning on its own, but that would just help me connect the dots of learning that are naturally and organically happening.
Right.
and give me something that I could then record as this was part of our learning. We were talking with both Jeannie Fulbright in season 1, who has a heirloom planner that asks you to kind of record and remember the things you did in your homeschool. And then we have another interview coming up in season 2 where our guest talked about and really encouraged, make sure that you don't just write down the book you read or the workbook you finished, but the field trip you went on. And I realized I wasn't writing down any of my field trips.
Yeah, same.
And so this is a tool, it's a resource that would help you just write those things down and give you that record that would help you celebrate that you went on that adventure.
Yeah. And also for people like me who I've said it, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. This was not something that I ever planned on doing. This is not something that I did extensive research on. I just jumped in feet first and figured it out as I went. I really appreciate the learning guides because it helps me focus. It becomes more than just, oh, we're going to the aquarium just to visit the aquarium. But we are planning a trip to visit my aunt and uncle, and we're going to go to an aquarium we've never been to in a state we've never been to. And I'm so excited to take the learning guide with us because I feel like we will get so much more out of that experience and be more attentive and more intentional. And I'm really, really excited for myself, but I'm also excited for everyone. I'm excited to share these with everyone because, like you said, we saw there was a gap. And that I think has been such a thing on both of our hearts since we started the podcast is where are the gaps and how can we fill them? And the initial one was there's got to be a place, there's got to be somewhere where we can see all of the things that are going on for homeschoolers. Okay, well, we can do that. Well, now in doing that, we've seen, well, maybe some guides would be helpful to go along with these experiences. And it's really exciting. They're beautiful. You did such a wonderful job putting them together. And I mean, something to celebrate big time is the launch of these learning guides.
We're so excited. And it was fun to pour all of my nerdy curriculum design that I used to use in a totally different world, bring that, but also just all of the ways that I've been set free as a homeschool mom and learn to love learning that's not inside the lines and get to bring all of that. And then you made them look beautiful because you make things beautiful all the time.
I use the internet. The internet helps me make things beautiful. Let's not forget that I am not the artist, but I can use digital media to spruce some things up.
You
But
sure can.
it was a collaborative effort in that regard. And speaking of, I think another thing that I celebrate is that we have been able to fill in each other's gaps.
Yes.
And in such a seamless, it's not been an arduous task. It's been very easy. Like, okay, well, this is your thing. This is what you're really good at. You do this. Okay, well, I'll do this because that's easy for me. I can do that. And it's been really fun to not try to be the best at all of the things.
Yeah.
Just be really good at the things I'm really good at and let you be really good at the things you're really good at. And then we make this beautiful thing.
Yeah. We complement each other really well, which I mean, I knew going into the podcast. I don't know that I knew it as articulately as I know it now. And it's just been really fun to watch you shine and be able to be like, I could never have pulled that off and done that. And thank goodness that we're a team because she does it so well. And then there are the things that I do well, and we get to celebrate each other and cheer each other on, and we both get to shine. And it's definitely one of the things that makes the podcast so much fun.
Yeah.
Is celebrating each other.
Another thing that I am really excited to celebrate because I'm a milestone girly. This is episode 49. So that means the next episode that comes out is going to be our 50th episode. And I think that's really stinking cool. So we will be celebrating that for sure. And I'm going to talk about this on that episode, but I'm also going to talk about it right here. I'm going to issue I don't want to say challenge, but I'm going to put a request out there. How about that? I'm going to put a request out there to help us celebrate. Because one thing that I want to celebrate is I want to start reaching milestones for ratings and reviews. Because if you don't know about the podcast world, those really help these platforms that we're releasing on determine if a podcast is relevant to people. So the more ratings and reviews you get, the more likely your podcast is to be pushed out to the masses. And I would love, love, love if you are listening and you have never left a rating or a review or a comment, whatever platform you're listening on, please, I would love, as we head into releasing our 50th episode, I would love for us to get to 50 ratings and reviews.
Yeah.
So if you are listening, help us get to that point so we can have a little celebration. And yeah, I would love to make it there. That would be something super fun. So if you're listening, we would love for you to leave a review. Tell us about your favorite episode or what you like about the episodes. We would love to hear from you. And yeah.
Yeah. Cheer us on if you could.
Well, we've talked this whole episode about all of the wins. And, normally we wrap up by what's your win? But we've talked a lot about them. So before we wrap up, is there any outstanding win that you want to share?
Yeah. I think the final thing I want to share that I love so much about the podcast is that when you are a homeschool mom, you want to find things that are hobbies or passions, play. Maybe you really need to make money, like a side hustle that you delight in, but you also have this primary priority you've been given of your children and being with them and being their teacher. And what I love about the podcast is that my homeschool feeds into the podcast feeds into my homeschool. I can find an adventure that is just right for my son, and we go do it not because of the podcast, but it's so exciting when I realize, oh, this will make a really good podcast episode. And I'll tell you on the way home, oh my gosh, we just went and did something that's going to be such a cool episode. I can't wait to tell you about it on mic. Or maybe we're in a little bit of a lull and I'm not finding some great things for my homeschool, but I'll go try something that maybe I wouldn't have normally because it looks like it might be cool for the podcast, and it might be a dud for my son and it might not. It might, and there's been both, truly, but it pushes me to be more adventurous in my homeschool because I have this. And then it's also fun to think about and talk about my homeschool, not just in what it has done for my son, but what it does for me here on the podcast. And so it's been such a blessing to find something that I am delighting in doing that is not, the podcast is not for my son. I mean, the podcast is not for your children.
Right.
But it's benefiting my
Yeah.
homeschool and my son. I think it's benefiting your homeschool and your kids. And then our homeschools also benefit the podcast. And it's just really cool. It's really cool that we have sort of stumbled into something that is having that relationship with our homeschools.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree with that. Well, where can people find you celebrating, Kat?
I'm at Recreating Camp on Instagram and Facebook. And where are you celebrating, Kayla?
You can find me at ScratchMadeSimple _ on Instagram and at ScratchMadeSimple on TikTok. And you can find us on all the socials at Homeschooling Down South. And if you have something that we can celebrate with you, we would love to do that. Please email us at hello@homeschoolingdownsouth.com or leave a comment on our social media. We would love, love, love to hear from you and celebrate that with you.
And we would love for you to stay tuned, visit our website, homeschoolingdownsouth.com. We have a field trip live now for the fall, and we're going to be offering the learning guides in both digital and print format. So stay tuned, visit our website, bookmark it. We're so excited.
Yes. We're so excited, you guys.
We'll see y'all next week.
Bye, y'all.
And we'll love together, we'll learn together, explore this whole wide world together. No matter where we are.